Hey, everybody.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you
Patrick, can you
are.
hear me?
Didn't recognize
Hi.
you.
I'm in my car. I had to stop and pick up a check for somebody, and then they would talk to me, and I'm like, ugh, 'cause I was supposed to be at where I'm going, so I could be on the call.
Sure.
So the first few minutes, I'm gonna have to be on my phone. Is anybody else on? I can't tell.
Colleen Famura and Bruce Wayne.
Awesome.
How are you?
Yeah, I'll just be there in like 5 minutes.
Sure.
How are you?
Very good. Very good.
Good.
Nice day. A little bit
Yeah.
milder right there. A little bit sunnier today than it has been. So.
Yep.
So that's
You in
good.
Rockland Center?
Yes, I am.
You are? I know. I gotta stop by there and see you one of these
Yes, I
days.
am. Right in there. Yep, it's handy. Handy dandy.
Are you
So,
still going to Quincy at all?
What's that?
Do you still go to Quincy at all?
Rarely. Maybe.
Yeah.
No. Just if I'm going through or if I'm up on the North Shore or something and I'm passing through, but no.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Good. How you doing today?
Good. I believe you got a new friend over there, a mutual friend, Miss Carol Mullen.
Carol Mullen.
Yeah, she's
Is that
your mother's friend. She's your mother's friend over there.
Yeah, it's funny because I thought it was Chris McDonald. I said that to him and he looked at me with like I had 5 heads and I was like, oh, I don't know. It's like whatever. But yeah, she lives next door to my mother. She's
Right.
My mom just moved in there.
Yeah. Is she liking it?
Oh, she loves it. It's
Good.
That neighborhood's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a handy little spot. It is. And they're nice little homes. So yeah, no, handy dandy. What'd you do before this year, Mark, yourself?
I did consulting for healthcare IT.
Okay.
You can sense the excitement in my face.
Were you in that business for a long time?
About 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who lured you into real estate? Was it Ben Perrotta?
It was Ben Perrotta. No, I always wanted to get into it, and I took the course at age 18, and then just never actually fulfilled it until this year. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Now we're here. Party time.
There you go. All right. I think Kristin got held up on her. She was on a call to pick up a check, so she's probably dashing to park her car over in, which is no easy challenge outside that Weymouth office. I'm
actually going to a home inspection, so I'm going to sit out in front of my client's house.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were dashing through maybe that orientation course to go through the back door of the entry office.
Yeah, no. Who do we get on? How many people are on? I just can't see. Sorry.
Jack Parsons, Margaret, Colleen Famura, Mark DeFazio, and young man Yi Chen.
We're still waiting for our guest speaker.
No, he was on there. I don't know. He disappeared. Yeah.
Oh, maybe he's connection.
No, I'm here. I'm just listening. I'm listening.
Oh, there you are. Awesome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
My apologies for this. My plan was to be in the driveway before 11, but I got a little caught up. I did have someone saying, "Oh, I want to sell all this property, so I'm going to call you." So I kind of couldn't just run away and say I got to go.
No, we need those listings.
Exactly. Awesome. So, do you guys want to get started? Do we have enough people on?
Sure.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about what we read. What are some ahas from the chapter that you just read?
Well, it's funny. I read the book before, so I've been listening to it on Audible, but because you asked me to speak today or asked me some questions today, I figured I'd actually read the damn thing. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. It's amazing to me, the advice in this chapter, how eerily similar it is to just finding regular real estate business. It's basically the same activities, but they're telling people to look for potential real estate investments for people or for yourself. And that's kind of what I got out of it. Like, with everything that's going on and the lack of inventory, this book is older, so it was just kind of enlightening to see that the tried and true methods still work if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, it's just the basics, right? Like anything else.
100%. Anyone else?
Yeah, Ben, I'm just going to follow up on that. Where it was like build a database and work it. You talk about how basic that is. We're taught for our real estate businesses to build a database. So 100% makes sense to build a database for this. The other thing was, if you read the MREA, very similar in chapters here about database and having your core advocates and your allied resources as people out there who are out there looking for deals for you. So that's huge.
Yeah, and I thought too, it's just like we're all dying for listings out there right now. So it's like what we should be doing every day of the week is just listings. And if you're doing that at such a fever pace, you're bound to, find either a potential investment for yourself or an investor that you're working with.
Yeah, if you can't find somebody a deal, find it for yourself.
Exactly. I don't know. Then there was like the 5 laws of lead generation, which I didn't write down. I thought those were pretty, again, just, I think these days a lot of people consider their social media channels their database. And we had a call yesterday. We were chatting about that. We're like, geez, it's great to post. Everyone likes your posts and stuff like that. But why aren't you taking, your top 200, 300 people that you connect with on Facebook and putting them in your database and mailing to them and sending them, marketing to them your real estate business? You may think they understand you sell real estate, but unless you're specifically asking for it, they may not. They may see your videos, they may see your posts, but that doesn't mean they're going to pick up the phone and call you for real estate,
Absolutely.
Anyone else? I think Kristin's out there running, so I'll just kind of. Anyone else get?
I'm hooking up to my hotspot.
Oh, nice.
I just wanted to check your name. Not bad. I just wanted to check your name.
Well, I'd have to say that one of the us I've always looked at makes a lot of sense is when you buy, you want to buy wholesale more than retail. So you have to find those properties that may need a little work. And then you can, with your sweat equity, gain some equity immediately on it. So purchasing the property correctly. And I kind of like the takeaway here where they said just buying a property doesn't make you an investor any more than buying groceries makes you a chef. You could easily say, I just bought a 2-family and now I'm an investor, versus an investor has to take care of the 2-family, has to make sure it's run properly and looked at it for what the value was to see where they wanted to invest their money. So it's just buying something doesn't make you an investor. There's all kinds of them. You can underline them, every other sentence, how you want to buy the property, what you're going to do with the property, if you're going to hold on to it and create wealth, or you're going to flip it. And everybody else already talked about it. It's a numbers game as far as how many people you touch to find out if they want to sell to you or not.
Yeah, I think too, it's really hits on, like you said, Steve, like, you make your money with the purchase. That's when you make your money, when you buy a piece of real estate. So you got to buy it right. The other thing to hit on was flippers. I mean, I work with a lot of I work with 3 flippers, and I know Patrick talked about this a lot. And I personally, it's funny. I've sold a ton. I know actually, Blazo works with a ton too. Actually, a couple. She's got a lot of experience, and I show us doing it. And it's funny reading about the flippers and flipping the houses. I got to be honest. I've been selling real estate well over 20 years. I don't know that I would take on a flip by myself. I think I'd partner up with someone who knows construction as much as I think I know. I think, especially in today's market where everything's selling so high, and then to try to flip, make a profit on it. I think it's, you got to really know what you're doing with the flips today. I just think if you can get yourself, I think you can get yourself a lot of trouble, even though prices seem to rise. At some point, something's going to happen. So I'm interested in doing a flip, but I think the first one I do would probably be with someone who knows what they're doing, like a Patrick or a Steve. You know what I mean?
It's just buying it,
Look
getting
at
it at the
something
right
not good
price.
at.
What's that, Patrick?
It's getting it at the right price.
But I think it's knowing what to do. They say in there, and this is what I see a lot of my guys do. I'm going to add a second floor on this thing,
Oh,
and blah
no.
blah blah. And and I know we talked about previous call. It's like I've learned that the best guys or women at
In
flipping,
and out.
they have a system. Their flips look the same every time.
That's right.
It's almost like an assembly line. They know what to do, what not to do. They know when to make it FHA-able. They know when to do a complete gut. So those are the things that I think that can really hurt people.
Yeah. Yeah.
If somebody's gonna do, excuse me, and I sold a house in Braintree, and the fellow's gonna do a second floor, and he's done it multiple times, they're more of a builder.
Right.
And they are gonna look at it for a bigger return, but it costs them more to do. So when he puts a second level on, I'm looking at him making $1.25, 150, which might be 3 or 4 flips for some guys. So a builder might be more apt to be able to put that second level on than somebody that's just going to do a flip and put some lipstick on it. With a flip, you just want to make sure you don't have bad sills if you don't want to get too deep into it, and that the windows aren't falling out, so you can keep those same windows. The siding's already there. So if you do kitchens and baths, that's probably a pretty big, intense flip versus just going over there and cleaning it up, putting some shiny floors down. A roof is not a lot of money today. Roofers aren't that expensive. Materials have gone through the roof. That's gotten very expensive.
One of the guys I work with as a flipper, I cannot keep up with this guy. He's not a licensed agent, but this guy spends every waking minute just searching the earth for flips. I mean, I cannot, he must have every alert from Zillow, from Realtor.com. I mean, he's going through tax records. I mean, it's amazing. The guy kills me. I'm like, I literally can't keep up with you. But you know what? He's finding them. He's finding them. And I'll tell you, it's like a lesson for us real estate agents to take. I mean, he's just so hyper-focused on that next deal. And they got 3 or 4 under agreement right now, and they're all pretty good buys. But he is scouring the earth. Kristin, how are you doing with yours? I know you're out there looking for people too, and you got a couple good, really good investors. I mean, how are you finding it out there?
I'm not finding new ones right now. It's very difficult. I just put one on last Saturday, and it went within the first couple hours. I just met the appraiser over there, and he was like, "Do you have comps for this?" Which is, I priced it right, but it went, I mean, tons over. It was way over with an escalation clause to go even higher. So, hopefully it appraises out, but that does say they'll bridge the gap. So, I mean, it's nerve-wracking on both ends right now because the buyers are just going so crazy, but I am having a very, very, very difficult time finding new properties for my people because I think the regular buyer pool that's out there, because they can't find anything, they're looking at what my clients would flip and saying, I can do a renovation loan and get into this and actually own something. So it's a little bit, they're taking my world away. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna have to create a letter and just drop it on people's doorsteps of distressed stuff because there's just nothing for me to find right now. And one of my clients, like, she sends me so many things, and she just sent me one right now, and it's a 2-bedroom, and I'm like, I never want to flip a 2-bedroom. It just doesn't seem like there's enough room in it. But
well, the other thing too, I'm worried about is like I'm giving these guys advice, and my brain as a real estate guy doing this forever and a day is like, how long a raised ranch is going to sell in the South Shore for $600,000 to $700,000. I mean, they buy something today, it's going to take them 3 to 6 months, right? to get it on the market. Hopefully quicker, but it takes these guys a little while. And Steve would probably agree that the material, I'm hearing that there's a backup of materials and stuff like that. You give an ARV, on something for one of your clients that you're trying to give them the right advice. I'm just concerned the prices aren't going to be there, but I don't know. It doesn't seem to be changing anytime soon too. But anyways, Kristin, I'm waiting for you.
Hi, thank you guys for stepping up and covering for me while I was being very all over the place, but thank you guys. Awesome. Well, we're going to start with talking to Ben here today. Thanks, Ben, for joining us. Everybody's really looking forward to this conversation. So we'll jump in with some questions here. So Ben, how long have you been in the real estate business?
It's about 23 years.
Wow, 23 years. What made you decide to get into real estate?
Nothing more, nothing less, being a lost 23-year-old kid, that 24-year-old kid that was selling BJ's Wholesale Club memberships door to door to small businesses, making no money. And I walked into a real estate office in Marshfield, and the guy threw me out. He said, "Get the hell out of here. You're bothering me." I was walking down the hall. He said, "Hey kid, come here, come back here." And he said, "You want to sell houses?" I said, "Yeah, that sounds good." And I didn't even know, I went to my boss, the woman at BJ's. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm quitting because I'm going to go sell houses." And she said, "Oh, you're going to be a realtor?" I said, "I don't know about that." I said, "I'm definitely going to sell houses though." So I didn't even know what I was getting into. But I had a really good guy. Honestly, my first guy, I won't mention his name, but I know Zaboski knows who he is. But he was a very, database script driven person. He just had me come in every day. I thought you came in at noon, and I thought you didn't leave till 9 o'clock at night. I thought you had a database. I thought you had scripts, and I thought that's how you sell houses. That's the way I was taught for the first 3 or 4 years. So even though he really great guy, I didn't like his business practice that much, and he's no longer really around here. But it was an opportunity to get some really good training from him.
Even though the hours were odd, at least he taught you to do the scripts and come in every day. That's a big deal.
I thought it was your
100%
probation
starting out.
officer that told you to get into real estate.
Yeah, it was like 2 years in, and I met another agent, and I started telling him, the guy makes me come in like 12 to 9. I get a schedule. He goes, you don't have to do that, right? You're a self-employed person. I said, I am. I had no idea. I just knew that I smoked cigarettes back then. I used to take a break every hour, So that was about it. But no, he was a good guy to start with because the scripting was good and stuff like that. So, but no, I started there, and I won't bore you with my story because personal stories are boring. But I will say one of the biggest mistakes I made was not buying houses. Getting in the investment game. I'm sure you'll ask me these questions later, but just a point.
Mm-hmm. So how old were you, or how many years were you in real estate before you bought your first property?
I only bought my first property 3 years ago.
Okay.
So that's why I said, Kristin said, I want you to talk. I said, I'm not like Zaboski over there or Patrick. I don't know. But I suppose too, it's kind of good to hear from someone that's kind of fairly new to it. Mm-hmm. Someone said to me years ago, they said, listen, you can make a living selling real estate. You get wealthy owning it. And that was 20 years ago. And I wish I listened to that a little deeper. Yeah. My son, Jake, is 20 years old. He's living at home. We're saving his money. I'm going to invest with him, hopefully next year or two, a property for him because, I got those buddies of mine that back in 92, 93, 94, those 90s that were buying, multifamilies in Quincy for 180,000. And we're all, hanging out in the bar laughing at them. Well, we're not laughing anymore because 2 or 3 of those will set your life straight, So that's kind of I'm preaching that to my son. And no, I only got into it recently though.
Okay. So what was the first property that you bought?
Just like my partner, Kate, down in Alabama.
So you bought one to start?
Yep.
Okay. And what made you decide to go to Alabama?
Again, I know Kate was on this call. It was just, we really started like in the last 4 or 5 years, her and I discussing investment real estate and getting into the podcast. And I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, but I just kind of got that bug and started listening to the podcast and reading and finding out about it. And again, between me and her, we found that was a pretty up and coming place, which by the way, it's worked out great for us. You know, I know that a lot of people like, hey, you should stay local. You know, your first investment you should be able to drive to. You know, a couple things about me. I can't. I need to hire an electrician to change a light bulb in my house. You know what I mean? We've got my wife has a tool bag and I'm the other tool bag in the house. I don't fix anything. All right, that's a true story. I married a mechanic's daughter. My father-in-law just laughs at me constantly, but I honestly don't know how to fix anything. So if I bought a house in Plymouth where I live, I'd have to hire a management company. There's just no doubt about it. I can't get calls in the middle of the night. I don't know how to fix anything, like anything. So, you know, I looked at Alabama, kind of like one of the things I looked at and I kind of internalized was, geez, I got this like retirement plan that I, you know, add to every year and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it's invested all over the place. I get the prospectus. I don't know where half of this money is. I talked to my guy, I go, I don't understand 98% of this, but I understand real estate. And I'm like, whether it's here or in Alabama, you know, I was like, I think in this day and age, we can buy outside of our area if it's a decent enough deal, you know? So that's the way I looked at it.
Awesome. So you bought one, and then how much longer? So you own two down there currently, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So how long was it until you purchased the second one in Alabama?
Within 6 months, I bought
Wow.
another one. And by the way, I haven't been to that one yet. I bought it off a YouTube video, so I've not been there yet. But I would have, if COVID didn't happen, I would have gone down. And the first one I bought without seeing it too. We've got a guy down there, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of your questions, Kristin, but
Go right ahead. No, go ahead.
he's a real estate agent, but he's also an engineer. And I don't really tout part-time agents as being the great things to go to. But anyways, he's an engineer and he's also owns about 14 to 15 properties down there. And he's an incredible numbers guy. So he, you know, me being there or not, he was really, I mean, he broke down everything. I mean, everything. It was, he's really good. So the two that I bought, I feel very comfortable with, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So you just went and found them yourself and then called them and say, hey, I'm interested in this? Or was he looking for things for you and then said, hey, look, these are good opportunities?
We made a couple offers. The first one I got was, he found. The second one I found. The second one I found. Yep.
Okay. And then your third investment property. Well, actually, let's go back. Let's go back to Alabama. So you have a management company that runs that. Now, not everybody maybe wasn't here when Kate was talking. So that's why I'm going to kind of ask you the same question. So you have a management company that runs it. How does that work?
It's
what
awesome.
Are they responsible for? What are you responsible for? How does payments get moved back and forth?
They are responsible for everything. They are the landlord. I am not the landlord. I mean, it just is the way it is. They, you know, I get my money each month, or if there needs to be repairs. One of the tenants we had was a wicked nudge. I mean, she just wanted everything fixed, but you know, it's a little something every month. And quite frankly, I kind of looked at it. She's gone now. We got a new tenant in there, but because she was there for a year, complaining about every little thing, and they weren't big fixes, we just had them fix everything. So now the house is kind of like, the manager was like, it's in good shape now because she made you do all that stuff. So they contact me if there's something needs to be done. We have an owner portal. They send me money. Like my mortgage gets paid the first, on the 15th of every month. They send me the profit of whatever it is. And it's been fine. I mean, we've made a little, I mean, we're not making a killing off it down there. You know, we're making, I think about $500 a month or something on the two of them, but they were cheap. I mean, I paid 80, what did I pay? I want to say like, oh gosh, I forget what I paid. One was like 165 and the other one was like 120 or something like that. They weren't huge. And I put 25% down on each of them. So we started out with a ton of equity, and like everywhere else, Huntsville, Alabama is kind of going through the roof. So, you know, I'm asking the people down there, and yeah, I got some really good equity on as of today. You know, I got agents calling me from Alabama all week long, you know. At least 2 or 3 times a week, I have an agent from Alabama calling me, asking if I want to sell those places.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So, to get the tenants, how does that work since you don't live anywhere close to Alabama?
They do it. And they're really good. And Alabama is a landlord-friendly state. They, you don't pay, you go. 30 days, you're gone. So it's it's just a good place to be. And these guys do a really good job. They really do. And I'm a big softie. I remember they wouldn't let, they wouldn't let one guy come in because he had a criminal record. I was like, I got a criminal record too, I think, from like 93. So, but nothing serious, but I'm just kidding. But I was like, my wife and I are suckers. We just love everybody. I'd be a terrible person to kind of, vet potential tenants. I just fall in love with people. Oh, you seem nice, come on in, so the woman down there is a real hard ass. So I like her,
So she vets everyone for you. She tells you who, like, she'll tell you who a good candidate is. They put them in there and they pretty much take care of everything. And if something needs to be fixed, they'll call you, like if you need a new water heater or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we, my theory is like, I own a ranch and a Cape, and I figure like, for me, I'm like, if you just buy the small ranches and Capes, they always rent, they always sell, right? So if stuff kind of goes sideways, I should be able to be okay. You know what I mean? And for those of you who don't know, and I don't mind sharing this, and I won't go over the whole story, but my wife and I lost everything in the crash. Those of you know, you probably heard it a million times. I tell everyone I'm not ashamed of it or anything, but I am cautious with what I do because I'm 48 years old, and when I went broke, I was 38. So you just can't do that again. So
Ben,
risk averse.
What did you lose it in? Did you lose your home?
Lost everything.
Wow.
Lost everything. House, cars, everything you can imagine, right down to the bare bones. We had to move to a house with a top for a roof. I had to borrow one of my wife's relatives' cars. We lost everything, absolutely everything. So I'm I keep that in the back of my mind. We're doing fine now, but it's like I want something that if I'm investing in it, like I think that I can do okay with it. And maybe down the line, and we're going to buy more stuff. We really are, but maybe down the line, I'd be willing to buy something that maybe has a little more risk. But I just feel like these little entry level ranch and Cape, I mean, they always sell, they always rent. Even if I'm losing, even if the rents go down, I'm losing a couple $100 a month on them or something like that. That's we can figure that out. You know what I mean?
Can I intervene for a second?
Sure.
Yes, please.
The McKissick Group, if you've all heard of them, they're with Keller Williams. They're a big real estate team. And they own, that is their choice of housing is single family ranch houses throughout the country.
Yep.
They have hundreds of them. That's how they like to operate, not buying multi-families or 10 units or 12 units or bricks, all single families, because they try to buy something that needs work at a wholesale price. And if they have to sell it, they'll get retail for it when they're done, because it's going to be a homeowner that wants to buy it. And it's quicker for them to sell it.
That's how I felt about it too. Like I listened to that guy, who's the guy, Billy? Grant Cardone, you listen to him and he's like, you got to buy 100 units, your first deal. I'm like, well, I don't really think you have to do that. You know what I mean? Like start small and build on it. I think that sounds really intimidating. I got a friend of mine who, again, we were making fun of him in the 90s. He was buying condos in Weymouth and Braintree and Marshfield, like, let's say like mid 90s for like 50 grand. He owns about 10 of them. I mean, he's done really well with them. So I don't know. I think you can start small and stuff like that. I just think around here, I mean, I'm talking to my son, and I don't know if anyone else has heard this, but I'm hearing huge things about New Bedford. New Bedford and Fall River. I'm hearing about the train getting farther down in New Bedford. I don't know much about the New Bedford area, but I don't know. Has anybody else been hearing that at all?
And I'll tell you, back in 2004, I heard a lot of good things about Worcester. Look where that got me. I'm just going to leave it there. Right?
Yeah, I don't know about New Bedford, man.
Listen,
Benny, years ago, Ben and I worked the same company. There was a guy there, Ken Gray, and smart guy, did a lot of new construction, some building. But he used to, when I bought that condo, he said to me, he's like, man, you're driving past a lot of opportunities just to get to that one. Like, how many did you miss driving there? He's like, you got to open up your eyes a little bit bigger. Just my sense. I never forgot that.
You know what though? It's really fun to fly into Nashville, Tennessee and hang out and party for 5 days and write that trip off because I'm going to visit my house too. So there you go.
That's your first investment.
Exactly. Nashville. Yeah, no, I agree. Kenny was a great guy. I totally agree with him. I don't know. It's just, but whatever. But go ahead, Kristin.
One sec. So you're making 500 per property?
No. We're making, let me see. Actually, no, we make around 800 a month on the houses.
Is that you take home or is that after they take out their percentage for the management
That's my
company?
take home. That's my take
That's
home.
amazing.
Because they're 10%. Yeah. So it's about 800 combined. 800
Wow.
combined a month for the two houses. So I don't think that's that bad, you know?
That's
Great.
fantastic. And you're not doing anything. So it's really
Mhm.
about all the money that you would put down, right? And
Yeah.
and they're paying the mortgage down and you sell it, you sell it. You can't lose. You literally can't lose.
Mhm.
No, and again, we did put 25% down because they weren't that much money. So
Yep.
it was just, save my commission dollars, and I just did it the old fashioned way, And
Yep.
we're going to do it again. I mean, we really are. We actually, just to move on a little bit, just so you guys know, we just refied my primary house I own in Manamet down near the ocean. Not a big house. It was our rebuilding house from telling you the story, what happened to me. I mean, I own a 1,500 square foot ranch down here. I love it. I love the spot. We're right near the ocean. We're totally happy here. But Tara and I just cashed out because we went back to like a 30-year mortgage. We took a cash out. We're taking that money, sticking it aside. We may buy another house in the Manamet or Priscilla Beach area if we find what we like. Or we may buy another house and investment property with that money. But my payment went down by $200. I went back to a 30-year from a 20-year, just because I don't care. I'm eventually going to rent this place out. My mortgage is $1,500 a month here. I could probably get $2,500 a month for this. So I think that's like some of the stuff I learned on those podcasts. A lot of people don't realize the house you live in may actually be your first investment property. And by the way, that's what I'm telling some of these kids that are buying houses in this market as a first-time buyer. I'm like, why don't you buy something you can rent in 5 to 7 years? Because you can't come back to me and say you're going to make $100,000 off of it and really teach people about that. Like, yeah, you'll be able to, this will just be a stepping stone. You might be paying the high price now, but if you can rent it out, move on from it in 5 to 10 years or something, it'd be a great little investment property for you. And that's a big thing, is like knowing that your own house could be another investment. So that's what we're hoping to do. And we'll see how it goes though,
Yeah, I agree with you. That's great. Like if you have the kids in that age group or nieces and nephews and they're looking to buy, it's a good conversation to have with them. Learn from our mistakes. Do it now. Don't wait till you're our age, right, Ben?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's time. If you think about it, I mean, Kristin, I'm telling you, it was the biggest mistake I've ever made. And I don't know why either, because I don't know why I never got it. But, the thing is, you do all these transactions, you're making money, and, you just don't, sometimes you don't think about it. But, you guys, we're all at such, we have the whole, we have real estate at our fingertips. I mean, we find out about more deals than anybody. And, I just think I look at Steve, look at Mr. Zaborski. I know some of his buddies up there in Braintree. These guys started buying the multifamilies. I mean, that is just the way to go. That's the way to go. Because who wants to work this hard forever either?
Right.
By the way, if you guys see me and I'm like 70 years old some Sunday and I'm putting out an open house sign somewhere, please run me over.
Knock you down.
This was a complete failure, this real estate thing. Like, I'm gonna, unless I'm doing an open house on Key West somewhere, like, on a golf cart, that's totally acceptable. But if you find me up and down Route 3 in like the next 22 years, please kill me.
There you go. So you own your house in Plymouth, you've got the 2 in Alabama, and then where else do you own a property?
So we bought a house right before COVID in Mashpee. Tara and I did, right near John's Pond. Her family's had a place down there for years. We were going to Airbnb it, and then bam, we were fixing it up. We're going to do the kitchen over. We're going to do the weekly rental thing. And Tara always wanted a house down there too, by the way, because her family's been down there since the 50s. So anyways, that hit. And then it was like my sons and their girlfriends quarantined for the lockdown for COVID. And then we started using it. And then we bought a golf cart and paddle boards, and we never rent that place out ever. So, but it's, Tara can afford it on her salary, and we're having a lot of fun down there, but we are looking for another house down there too. So it's right near a pond. If we could get on John's Pond, that's kind of her dream. So again, we're going to hold on to that forever. We're going to hold on to that forever and a day. We're just going to do that. That one could rent out. We'd make money on it weekly and all that stuff. So that's our fourth piece of real estate that we own. And again, it's a 3-bedroom, bath and a half, not 2-bath ranch. My kids make fun of me. Like, we bought the exact same house you own in Plymouth down the Cape. 1-car garage, small 1/4-acre lot, not a big house. But I like them. That's kind of what I like. I don't need a big mansion somewhere, but it would be nice to get right on the pond. That's kind of a pipe dream, and we got a lot of work to do before that. And we could always rent that out. I mean, again, that's something that we bought. We put enough down that, I think even if I could probably rent it close to $2,500 right now, and our mortgage is like 2,100. So even if the rents came down a little bit, I know we could afford it, we could sell it, we could rent it.
So your intention of buying it was really more to rent it out than to stay there? Was that the initial intention?
100% Airbnb we wanted to do.
Okay.
Airbnb. I wanted to try that model out. I like that model. I think it's a good one. I know people that are doing really well with it, especially down the Cape. They're crushing it down the Cape right now with these houses. It's just they're booked out. I know that I've talked to people down there that are involved in that sector of the business, the Airbnb and the weekly rentals, and they said they booked out for the summer in record time this year. And I think obviously that has something to do with people are still not traveling. People do want to go on vacation. You know, we're down the Cape every summer. We're down there almost every weekend, and the amount of New York and New Jersey license plates down there are overwhelming, especially in the summer. So there's a lot of people looking to rent on the Cape and get away.
Mm-hmm. So you're going to keep that now. Just you're not going to Airbnb it now. You're going to just use it as a second home now at this point. And
no, we're going to continue with our weekend wine buzzes, driving around the pond in the golf cart, Kristin. That's kind of, that's when you know you made it in life,
Yeah.
So, no, we're loving it. We're having a lot of fun with it.
You could still rent out certain weeks in the summertime, not
We
completely every week. I mean, you could still get some income. That's what I'm doing. Like I have.
Oh yeah. That's right. You're down the street from me.
We're neighbors.
Actually, just so everyone knows, I've been to Kristin's house. Kristin at my house. Kristin got a way better deal. I mean, Kristin's house right on a golf course. I'm like, holy smokes, I got ripped off. But to be honest, we paid $340 for that house a year and a half ago. And honestly,
so did I.
Yeah, I know. Yours is twice the size of mine. But I've talked to agents. They're telling me my house is worth $4.25 right now. So again, the market's going up, I think, unnaturally. But geez, I mean, that's pretty good appreciation over a year and a half.
Absolutely. So now you're going to buy another property down the Cape. That's your next plan.
So the goal is this. The goal is to either or. If we could find something really nice down there, we'd do that, or something really nice up here. The idea is, like with my wife, is that we really like the little house in Mashpee. If that's the best we ever got, good. We're good. It's a good little house right in the area we like. We're good. But if we get something better, if not, we'll improve on that house, so we do want to buy one more. And I really, really, really want to buy another investment property. My in-laws own houses down in Florida. I'm actually in the Florida licensing class because I have pipe dreams of selling real estate in the winter and making my son run around and take care of my business up here because I'm so sick of these winters. So that's someplace that I got an eye on. I think we're going to go down and rent, like 1 month on the West Coast and 1 month on the East Coast next year. We're really going to try to make that happen, but I'm getting my Florida's real estate license as well.
Awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Great. So if you buy something else, are you going to go back down to Alabama? Are you going to do something down there as well? Or are you going to kind of stay up here now?
I do something in Alabama again. I think that little Huntsville market's nice. And I would look at other markets. I mean, I'm not afraid to go anywhere. I mean, you honestly, guys, if you look at it,
Except Worcester.
Worcester. Well, listen, real quick story. So I love to tell stories, as you can tell, but I had this guy call me about 3-4 months ago, and he was from Chicago. He's like, I found you on the internet. I'm like, okay, great. He's like, I bought a little house in Pembroke. And I went over to the house. I'm like, this place is the biggest piece of shit, pardon my language, I've ever seen. I mean, he's telling me about Japan. I'm like, dude, you got screwed on this. And he didn't. He told me he's from Chicago. He's like, I buy houses online, every state in the country. He told me his whole story. And he ended up making like I sold it for him. He ended up doing minor adjustments to the house. He made like 30 grand on it. You know what I mean? So, talking to him a little bit, I'm like, man, so where are you buying? He'll go all over the place. And I just think that with what's going on in our environment in this country, not to talk politics at all, I'm just saying there's certain areas that are growing. I heard a friend of mine whose daughter's living in Frisco, Texas. He's like, you got to go down and check that place out. It's growing leaps and bounds. Yeah. So I think there's pockets in this country that you can go if you're not afraid to get on a plane, you get a good management company, a good team. Why not? So I'm open to just about anything,
So when you bought your first properties, were you really nervous about doing it? Did you have any hesitation, or because Kate had already bought? Did Kate buy hers first?
She did.
Okay, so because Kate did it, was it more comfortable for you? Or were you still kind of nervous about like the risk part of it?
No. We were good. We were
Yeah.
were excited. I was excited to do it. I had never done it before. It's something I know, just it's deeply ingrained in me that real estate's a good buy. You can't buy stupid, right? You got to be smart about it. And I thought that we got the right advice and the numbers worked. So no, I was excited to do it. I wish we could more. Honestly, I'd probably have a couple more if COVID didn't happen. It just kind of derailed me like it did a lot of other people. So, but it's a good area down there. I mean, I don't know if Kate said this to you or not, but there's more people in Huntsville, Alabama with MBAs than anywhere else in the country because they have a huge government contractor down there called Redstone. So it's a lot of engineers, a lot of scientists. Like the one tenant I just left, she was a scientist from Philadelphia, and she was down there for a year on a contract job. So, you know, I don't know. I like that little area, you know, I really do. I really do.
That's awesome. So big plan. So what do you envision like your investment portfolio, if you will? What do you envision having like in total?
You know, look, I feel like for me, I feel like I don't need 100 units, but I'd certainly I'd say I can't look too far out, but 3 years, I'd like to have at least 10.
Okay.
You know, so I feel like that's a reasonable goal. If I could get something else again this year, and then within, you know, next 3 years of around 10, combined with the 4 I already have, you know, so that's 6, you know, try to get a couple more a year. That's it.
Okay.
You know?
And how are you financing these?
Just regular financing right now. Just regular 25% down investment loans. You know, I have different places I go to, you know.
Awesome. And they're counting obviously the rent, because you know sometimes people think, well, how do you own more than like 3? You know, based on your, you know, what you're bringing in for your income and what your expenses are on these houses that you own. How do you just keep purchasing new ones?
Well, yeah, because they take the rental income in, you know.
Yeah.
Take the rental income in. Now, the only thing else I'll say to you guys is that, like, you know, I don't know. I'm sure everyone listens to all the different podcasts and stuff, but there's just so much information out there. You know what I mean? So it's a matter of, and Kristin, honestly, thank you for doing this because I kind of gotten away from it. And since you started this class, I've been like kind of refocusing myself. You know what I mean? Like, all right, let's do something. And that's why we refied the house and we're making plans to do it. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. So, and you can just see it. You can just see it. I got a couple houses that are paying the bills and making money off them. And you just like, man, if you did have 10 of these, you know, it all starts coming together. You know what I mean? It starts getting you excited to do it. So I'm excited about it. You know, I know Billy and I talk a lot in the office. Billy, didn't you just buy something?
So I bought something in the beginning of pandemic, but we're going to do a 1031 exchange. I went to my tax person yesterday and I'm like, hey, I'm selling Worcester finally. I'm like, let's look at how much I depreciated this thing over the last 14 years. And I depreciated the thing pretty bad, enough where I was like, okay, I had to pivot today to start a 1031, and we're going to be wide open. We're going to look anywhere from Maine to Myrtle Beach. And I think that we're probably going to end up buying an Airbnb in North Myrtle Beach. So we'll trade out Worcester for waterfront for literally the exact same money, except that one will make me money.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Got to use every penny. It's not a lot. We may have to jump on a plane in the next couple of weeks, which I'm totally fine with, and go down and because you got to identify your properties within the next X amount of time, and you have to close. Yeah, so there's a lot to it. You don't want to mess up. If you want to do the 1031 exchange, it's not a lot of money. I actually thought it was going to be more than what it is, and it's if you're swapping something out, that's something probably a whole different class to talk about, but look at 1031 exchanges if you need to.
Yeah.
Now, Billy,
If you need help with that, Billy, I have a ton of information on it because I had to investigate it for a client. I went to a couple of classes, so
Awesome.
if you want, I'm happy to help.
Hey, you know, last thing I wanted to say to you is to all you guys is just for me, and it's just after going, I don't know, just a lot of different things going on in my life, and you know, with COVID and everything, I'm looking at places fun. Like Billy just said, Myrtle Beach, you know, like that's what I just want to have fun. I want to sell houses and buy houses. Not that Huntsville, Alabama is a fun place, Nashville is, but I mean, that's what I mean. I'd like to buy and kind of areas where people vacation, because then I can go there. I can go and use it, and stuff like that, and play golf and do what I want to do. So I'm just into it. And that's like some people like, I want to buy, industrial, they want to do this, want to do that. My model is small and fun and in areas that I wouldn't mind visiting. That's why I want to look in other areas of the country, because I'm like, I want to go have an adventure. I want to make this real estate, investing thing an adventure for me and my wife, and we can have a good time, and my kids too. My oldest son lives in San Diego. He's finally getting his license out there. And you want to talk about real estate, guys? I just went and visited him. We drove up and down the Pacific Coast Highway, 3 million to 40 million for houses out there. Okay. 900 square foot house on an 8,000 square foot lot was $900,000. So, I'm telling him, like, get your license. Let's see, maybe we can get some investments out there in San Diego, on the West Coast, or wherever. And then me and my other son and my wife, we can do a group effort and just try to buy properties where we want to go visit. That's kind of what I'm looking at.
Awesome. If you had any advice to give, what would it be?
Do it soon. Well, I again, just what I said before, just do it. I mean, I think Steve was talking earlier, and again, it said it in this chapter that we read, is that you can't be stupid about it either. You can't just go buy something to buy something. Again, the ones in Alabama, I definitely got really good advice from a guy who's an engineer. I mean, incredibly down to the penny orientated about which properties he recommended for us, like almost overkill. So, I took his advice, and I think that's the way most people should be. But I think I don't know, getting after it. Like, one frustration I have with my son Jake, he's like always talking about Fall River, New Bedford. I'm like, well, every weekend go look at a multifamily in Fall River, New Bedford. What are you doing? Like, go do it. So I think getting after it and just being purposeful about it, and just, even if you're not going to buy tomorrow, start looking at them and start seeing what's out there. Just get out there and look. You're a licensed real estate agent, for God's sakes.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Yeah, I'm wondering, how do you finance more than 10 properties? I spoke to a lender, and they told me you can only finance up to 10 properties under the Fannie Mae and Fannie Mac guideline, unless you get a commercial loan or something.
Yeah, no, I'm not there yet. But I know what you're talking about.
Steve?
And but Steve, can you answer that question?
Sure. If I own multi properties, but what I do is some of them I constructed, some I purchased. So you're going to be purchasing as an investor, and it's a little different as far as when you start to own layers of property. You might have to put 20 to 30% down. Then you might get a 10-year note at a 25-year amortization. And after the 10 years, you'll have to rewrite the loan again, whatever bank you want to work with. So it's a commercial lending part of the business, not just buying a residential houses you may purchase for yourself or sell to a client that you would have, a buyer client.
And the
Steve,
interest rate would be a little bit higher, right? I'm assuming.
Ask me that again.
The interest rate would be a little bit higher.
It's about a percentage higher. So right now, just for instance, I'm taking loans on 5 of my properties to purchase something larger. And I think it was, maybe Bill mentioned it, that by doing that, I'm bringing my rate down, and I'll be paying less money on a monthly basis in total with all my properties. But I'm actually pushing my dates out as far as when the financing would end or the buildings would be paid off. But the risk and reward is I can buy something else and build properties. Some I'll sell, some I'll keep, and I'll be able to pay off most of my multis. So I don't have to put that sign up when I'm 70 years old and you guys want to take me out. So.
Hey, Steve, let me ask this, because again, part of my strategy, just to say, I know we're almost finishing up here, but I'm looking at it as a family effort here. You know what I mean? I'm like, these properties, my in-laws got properties, and, between all of us, we keep buying them. But, that's why, does it make sense if you're a guy like me buying a ranch or a Cape, hey, put one in only my wife's name, put one in my name? Does that help? Or, put them in the kids' names and stuff like that. I mean, we do, to be a full disclosure, Tara and I just finished up our trust. So we've got a family trust we're working on and all that stuff. So, but just your thoughts on that?
I think one of our first classes, if it was in this group, wasn't there somebody from Gordon and Crowley was telling us, that young lady, that we should have them in individual trusts for each property? And
Yeah, Crowley and Cummings, yeah, different, yeah.
yeah, and that's not, I talked to a couple of attorneys I work with, and it seemed like very labor intense having all these different accounts to run your monies through. If you have, like, lucky enough now, I have what I call 62 doors for rentals. If I'm getting all these checks from 10 units here and 5 there, even if you do it on different programs where they can put it right into the account, it's kind of a nightmare to keep up with that. I have an assistant, she works on that. I bet you that it used to be just for selling real estate. It's reversed now. She's probably 30 hours a week just taking care of those bills
Well,
in regards to payments. So I have a Zeb's Realty Trust. I have a Properties RE company. The money I make from when I sell real estate, I put towards buying property, so I can start to write that down, pay less in taxes. I got hurt because of the pandemic with a 1031. I couldn't get it done in time. The 10 that I was telling, Kristin and I have talked about a couple of times. I'm buying a school to remove and put up some condos, and the town shut down planning board meetings when nobody knew what to do. But I was already in the process and the property was sold. The government gave us 2 extra months. So instead of 6 months total, it was 8, and I still couldn't make it. I paid over $100,000 in capital gains
wow.
because of the flipping pandemic. So I got, you're not going to call up at the time Donald Trump and say, hey, listen, bud, I'm in real estate. Can you see what you can do? It's just it was not going to, it's just, there's nobody to argue with saying this wasn't fair. It's just, so the 1031s are a great tool, but keep in mind, all you're doing is pushing it out. It will be there someday. So if you can hold it long enough for your family, then you do your estate at the end, and then your kids can get it. But at some point, all you're doing is pushing off the capital gains to the next property. So if you sell it at some point, you're kind of just lining yourself up for a big whammy. But if you can work your estate out at the end for your family, then they won't have to pay all the capital gains or taxes on your estate. So your planning ahead is correct.
Yeah, we're getting everything into a trust, a family trust, and I again, it's more more about it than I do, Steve. I'm trusting my attorney and his company and their advice of what to do with my assets and the properties I have, and moving forward.
It's constantly changing, The taxes and how the government runs things, it moves all the time. Capital gains is going up. This administration is talking about going up 10%. So that's a lot of money. Sorry.
What were you gonna say?
My attorney the other day, and she recommended a revertible trust than a LLC. I want to see if you guys have any experience on that.
That's what
property.
Yeah, that's what my guy said. That's what he said. Have a trust, and then have each property in LLCs. And again, we're not finished with it yet, so I got a lot more questions. But that's the same advice I got too.
Yeah. So with an LLC, we have to pay the annual filing fee, $520. She said, depending on how many properties you have. Let's say if you have 10, it adds up. It's like $5,000-6,000 a year. But she said with revolvable trust, you get the same liability, same protection, but you don't have to pay for the filing fee. That's what my attorney told me.
There's so much information out there, and it's funny because depending on who you talk to, what attorney, what lender, they all have different answers to these kind of questions. I know a mortgage broker who buys the properties and then puts them in the LLC after, but I've also been told you can't do that because you're borrowing the mortgage as yourself, not as an LLC, because the LLC doesn't work or have the money. But this person does it all the time and nothing's ever happened. So it's like, all right, well, who do you?
Well, that's Kristin. I think that's it. Like Kate said that to me when I was telling the other day about, finalizing this thing with this attorney. And she said, well, they can call the mortgage due if you do that.
Yeah.
But does that happen?
No. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Right.
The
You
reason
know,
it's
so-
in those is to protect yourself from lawsuits.
Right.
Right.
That's why you're really doing it. I mean, if here's something to think about, is what you wouldn't do. Nobody says you have to, if you can pay cash for a property, nobody says you have to record it. You could have a deed and never record it. They don't know who owns the property. There's nothing that says you got to record a deed. If you really want me to screw you up by the end of this meeting, I just did it because
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
you do not
Well-
have to record a deed. You do it, the banks make you do it to protect their assets, which is money on your property. But you don't have to record a deed. You can go buy a property and just hold on to it. The problem is somebody else could record a deed on it. And then you got to chase them off your land.
So, and Steve's awesome. He's on like the A team. We're on the C team.
I'm gonna
over
get
here.
off right now because
No,
you guys
drop the mic. Well, my in-laws had a house down in Florida because they own a few. And my father-in-law, we're getting the end here, but he's an old school mechanic, save his money, work 80 hours a week. He's bought 3 down there he paid cash for. And one of the biggest mistakes he said was that, paying cash for them, he could have bought 20 of them instead of just 3, right? But he did get sued. He got sued. He had even though in the lease it said not a dog, the tenants had a dog, the dog bit someone, and they were found liable, and they cost him thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's, these are the things you got to worry about, especially if you're not right around the corner, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Ben. Does anybody have any questions for Ben or anybody else on the call?
I'd like to thank Ben for telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and keeping it real. Thank you.
Welcome, Patrick.
And
Yeah.
what are the price points that you're buying down in Alabama?
So I think one was, one was like 120. No, it was like 117. The other one was 162. But they've gone up, just like everywhere else. They've gone up, But honestly, go on the Zillow app. Whatever app you use. I don't want to get anyone in trouble with Zillow, but Zillow's awesome. But no, go on Zillow and go into Huntsville, Alabama. I bought in Huntsville and Madison. Madison is the town, even though it's considered Huntsville. That's a really good town, but go in there and check them out. I mean, there's things down there. And by the way, I'm happy to recommend those guys down there. They're not KW agents or anything, but they're good. They do a good job. They've done a really good job. I mean, they know the area really well. So if you want to check out down there, feel free to let me know and I'll forward you the guy's name and number. You can call him.
Yeah, hey, I just want to say I've known Benny for 20 years, and he's the reason I'm in this godforsaken business, because I lost my job after he sold me my house, and I started seeing signs everywhere. And well, the journey is the hard part, So I've seen his journey in his first house that he had in Pembroke, right around the corner from me. And I saw what he gained, I saw what he lost, but I saw his fight and I saw his determination. So grateful to be in business with you, man. We talk all the time about this stuff, about getting better and improving. And, I'm super grateful for you.
Thanks, buddy. That was awful nice of you to say.
Aw, love that.
Really?
I'm not dying, by the way. I'm not dying.
Good.
No, thank you guys. I
10?
appreciate it. I think we just, it's a tough market out there right there, but we all just keep working hard. These are the type, educating yourself. These are the type of things that are going to keep us moving forward. So I appreciate that, Billy. And thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And too,
Kristin.
if you need any insurance on any of your properties, Mike Richardson, I don't know which block he's in on your Zoom, he'll wave, but he's with Richardson Insurance. So if you need an insurance agent, give him a call.
He's the shit. He's
Oh,
awesome.
Billy or I will give you his contact info.
Seriously, they're great.
Thanks, Kristin.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Ben. I
guys.
hope you guys have an awesome day.
All right,
In 2 weeks, I'm
bye.
going to be interviewing Rich Lannon, 2 weeks from today.
All
He's still
right.
selling real estate?
We'll find out in 2 weeks.
Thanks,
All
Ben.
right.
Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.